Hello and welcome back to the A-4M Skyhawk build. This video comes to you in cooperation with PCBWay, Magic Factory and MRP Paints. The next step in the instruction manual wanted me to install the flaps, the spoilers and the ailerons. While I'm not going to install them yet, for ease of painting I removed them from the sprues and cleaned them up from the molding imperfections. While test fitting, I quickly realized that the fit was quite tight. Removing one of the flaps, I even managed to snap one of the tabs, which remained in the slot. Upon further assessment, I think I will be able to fix the flap in place with just one tab, but this is a good example of how you should not do things. There was not much assembly to do in this step. I only had to attach some aero covers on the outsides of the flaps and the trim tab and its actuator on one of the ailerons. The next area to attend was below the engine nozzle, where I had to install a contraption consisting of two pieces. If you recall, in the beginning of the build I marked two holes suggested in the plastic and shown in the instructions. I did not drill those back then because I didn't know how to drill half circles. Now that the fuselage is joined, I drilled those out and glued the large piece of the contraption in place. The second piece looks like an old school gas cap and I'm not going to install it yet. It is going to be in the way for the nozzle shield painting and masking, but also this cap looking thing is to be painted in metal color. In the same general area we have the arrestor hook assembly. Magic Factory did it quite complex, but I like the detail. After the assembly of the hook was done, I glued a small retainer piece on the fuselage. Apparently the assembled hook will lock into it, but I am going to leave that for the final assembly. I decided to portray the ram air turbine in its extended mode. The only things I have glued at this point were the main structure of the rod and the actuator. Anything else will be painted separately. The rod bay doors and the propeller are cleverly connected to the sprue, and I will take advantage by using the sprue to hold the parts while painting. I also removed the gear legs parts from the sprues. My initial dry fit testing showed promising fit, and I think I should not have any issues assembling the gear legs after the painting. On the nose gear leg there were a few items to be attached. The two ear-looking footage pieces fit in place perfectly because the accepting slots were nice and deep. There was also one plastic detail that went on the lower end. I had zero issues gluing it in place as well. I also glued in two hooks, one in each main gear bay. Those I assume are for the catapult cables. Here the fit is a bit loose and the exact position is up to the modeler. Now let's deal with some light fixtures, shall we? The landing light that is attached on one of the gear bay doors is very nicely made. A piece of clear plastic, convex on both sides, with a good level of surface details. For now I only applied masking fluid on the lens side. Another thing that I did was to paint the edges of the leading edge light fairing in black using lacquer paint. After the paint had some time to cure, I glued the fairing in place. The black painted edges of the transparent part make the thickness of it somehow disappear. Before I could mold the fairing in place, I had to do some adjustments in order to get almost seamless fit. Same goes for the wingtip lights. Some sanding and scalpel blade work helped with the fit. Here I painted the backside of the transparent parts using the new metallic markers from Gallery. Before we go any further, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video. PCBWay offers professional on-demand 3D printing service. They can print your projects in plastic, resin or even metal. The ordering process is simple. Go on PCBWay.com, select CNC/3D printing drop-down menu and select 3D printing. Upload your file, Add quantity, select the material of your choice, and you'll get a quote. Check them out. Link I will leave in the description. Next, I attached a few more items on the fuselage. A couple of devices, the purpose of which I am not aware of, and 2 scoops, one on each side of the fuselage. Fit was mostly excellent. The air scoops are hollow, as they were on the spine hump. One of them even is split in two with a wall, which is a nice touch. Regardless of whether one is going to display the nose open or closed, the radar assembly, I assume, should be included because it houses the provided steel balls. Those, of course, are counterweights, so that the model can stand on gear legs and not on its tail. After the assembly, a hole should be drilled in a specific location. That is then used to fill the assembly with the balls. After that was done, I proceeded assembling the nose structure to a point where the colors of the assembled parts are the same or the masking is easy. With this in mind, I glued the bulkhead inside the nose halves. Those fit in place neatly due to some molded-in tabs. The rest of the parts I separated from the sprues for painting. The nose cone tip is also a separate part, because it can be opened too. I will however glue the nose shut, because I don't like the silhouette breaking of the open nose position. At the tip of the nose we have a gun camera or some other technology utilizing a lens looking contraption. The clear part is nicely done and allowed me to fill it with translucent blue paint from behind. Don't laugh. The lens itself I protected with some liquid mask. This was easy to do thanks to the lip surrounding the lens. After a coat of black surface primer, I applied some interior dark dull green from MRP on several items. That is the color that can be seen on some dismantled Skyhawks, and I decided it will look cool and a little bit different than the usual green Hormat primer. Some of the parts I left in the black primer. All parts were then dry brushed with neutral grey oil paint. As you already know, oil paint dry brushing does not give the high contrast of the acrylic paints, and that's why I like it. I touched a few edges with a grey watercolor pencil to make them stand out a little bit, and then painted the knobs using Gallery's silver paint marker. This is a very useful tool for everything that you would otherwise do with the paintbrush. Mounting the nose cone sections was not the easiest or the most pleasant task to perform on this kit. The overall dimensions of each section and the fuselage are good, and the transitions are decent, but I had to do a lot of trimming beforehand. Also, the black box that is supposed to be glued on the cockpit forward bulkhead interferes with something inside the nose section. Since there we have the counterweights, I could not just throw it away, so I had to butcher it quite a bit. It becomes clear why a resin nose cone was the first aftermarket item to pop out. After some sanding and rescribing, I got the nose joints where I wanted them to be. Well, at least until the primer tells the truth. Next, I moved on to install the small bits and bobs in the vicinity. Immediately I was greeted with another problematic area. The chin bulge was perfect in its form, but it was sitting too high, leaving huge gaps where the panel lines are. To fix this, I did incremental adjustments on the nose side and on the board side, until I got decent looking joints. After that, the rest of the details were pretty straightforward, even the refilling boom. Cleaning it from the molding imperfections was not fun, but the fit was nice. I also managed to reshape the joint between the hump and the tail. First, I removed some material from the hump, and then I filled the joint with putty. After the excess putty was sanded away, I rescribed the joint line. With that, the airframe is complete. Next up are the weapons, and this kit provides a lot of them. The weapon systems that come with the kit are probably one of its highlights. I have spent quite a lot of time assembling all of those, but it is worth it. We get 2 triple bomb racks, 2 multi-bomb racks, 2 external fuel tanks, 2 rocket launchers, 5 pylons, 6 500-pound bombs, and 6 snake eye bombs. All of those are made of multiple parts. Each MBR had something like 12 pieces in it. Granted, I had to clean up a lot of seam lines, but other than that, the assembly was easy. The only difficult part was the tails of the snake eyes. Each tail is 4 pieces and not really easy to put together. Detail wise, always very well done. Unlike many other kits, here the pylons have details even on the bottom. The assembly between the pylons, MBR, TBR and the actual ordnance is also very well executed. But that we will discuss at the final assembly stage. The inner frame of the canopy comes as 2 pieces, left and right. Those I glued outside of the canopy, and after a few minutes I put them in place. For glue I used one from Tamiya that is for transparent and painted parts. The glue takes a lot of time to cure, so I clamped the frame firmly in position. The transparent cover on the front of the nose I first painted around the rim and then glued it in place. With the frame in position, the canopy no longer can be used as mask, so I had to mask off the cockpit, which was a rather tedious task. The small openings on the nose were also pain in the you-know-what to mask, because I had to stick small pieces of tape on a real small lip. Anyhow, I managed to mask those and reinforce the tape with some masking fluid. Also, with masking fluid, I masked off the wingtip lights, but before that I applied some black wash, so I could see where the panel lines were. Finally, I masked the nose tip with a combination of tape and masking liquid. The last bits of assembly for this pre-painting stage were the FOD covers and the ladder. The fit of this assembly was pretty much awesome. I just needed to widen the holes on the FODs in order to accommodate the pins of the handles. Also, removing the handles from the sprue is difficult because if one just cuts the runner, the handle will snap. Before I could start the primer application, I had to do a couple of small details that I apparently have missed. First, I glued a small instrument console on the central mirror, then I attached a small antenna on the belly. Using masking fluid as a non-permanent glue solution, I attached the engine access panels so that they can mask the openings and also get painted, weathered and decaled together with the rest of the airplane. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy modeling fellas!